Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast, the podcast where the dogs are the stars of the show. Welcome to episode 66 of the Relaxed Dog Podcast, sponsored by therelaxeddog.com. Thank you very much for listening. I am your host, Robert Ober, and I hope that you and your dog are well. This episode, my guest is Shelly Timp, and she is going to tell us all about Maximus. But first, in some doggy news, we go to Northern Cape in South Africa, where a suspected murder suspect was evading police and thought he could get away by swimming across a river. But what he didn't account for was canine Sam launching into the water and swimming after him. The suspect was recovered halfway across the river and promptly arrested. That's certainly not the standard takedown for a police canine. Well done, Sam. Over to the UK, and in Plymouth, a dog by the name of Patch managed to escape from his home, wander down the road, and sit at a local bus stop. When the bus pulled up, he promptly got on with some other people, to which the passengers on the bus thought that he belonged to one of them. The other people got off the bus, and the original passengers then realised that no one was with the dog. So, as you do nowadays with social media, everyone put out there that the dog was riding the bus into town without accompaniment. The dog did manage to go to the end of the trip, and the bus company looked after him until his guardians came to collect him and take him home after his big day out touring. And now, here's this week's interview. Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast. I am here today with Shelly Timp. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Robert. How are you?
I am fantastic, and it's great because Shelley is a local, so she's not far away from me. And not that I'm biased, but I know who we're going to talk about today, and that is Maximus. As per normal, I'm going to ask you to go back in time and talk us through the hows and the whys that you guys got together.
Okay. All right. So I better start from the very beginning. Max is our first Doberman, and I wasn't keen on getting a Doberman, but my husband was very keen to get a Doberman. And before him, we had a beautiful dog called Tilly, and she was a Kelpie Shepherd cross, very intelligent, very active, and she required a lot of training. So if anything, all the training we did with her, because we even did some special one-on-one training, because she was very dominant and she was also quite food aggressive and things like that. She thought she was in charge of us. So we had to then rejig our brains and get a specialist in to actually train us in making us the alphas and her the follower in the family. And so lost her in May 2018, and we said, okay, we're going to get our next dog after we both turn 50. And so we did a bit of traveling, we've been to Mudgee. We did a New Year's at Mudgee, and we had a little holiday up there, and sort of we came back through the Blue Mountains and sort of stayed there, and that's what you can do. You've got this sudden freedom where you can do anything when you don't have a dog, which was good because, I don't know, hubby doesn't agree with me, but I just think a dog makes a house into a home. And so when we lost her, it was quite devastating for me because she was the one who was always there at the door waiting for me when I got home. She was always with me. We could go for walks together. We did a lot of flyball. We did later on when she got older and her joints were sort of not doing too good, we did agility, and we'd done so much together. So for me to lose her felt like a massive hole in my life. So, it was actually good to sort of go away at the drop of a hat, and we didn't have to worry about the care of the dog. So, so we did Mudgee. And then after that, we went to what did we do? We went to a Cold Chisel concert. That's right, up at the Hunter Valley.
Nice.
I did that for my hubby's birthday. And we got back from that, and hubby said we should just get a dog. And we were going to wait a couple of years because of the fact that, we were planning this really massive trip. So that was all supposed to happen next year. And as you know, COVID had started around Christmas. Before then, that was 2019. So after we did that cold chisel and everything, and he said, let's just get a dog now. It was kind of like, yeah, this COVID thing doesn't look too good, especially for the Americans. So around and everything, and spoke to some friends from school because one of them actually has a Doberman. And this other friend of mine said, hey, go on the Australian Doberman site. So I went there, and my friend sent me a little link to a lady on there who had just had a litter of puppies in the December, and she sent me some photos of her puppies. One of the photos that she sent through, there was this little puppy with its tongue hanging out. And I thought, that one looks like a little mischievous one. But my hubby and I organised with her. We were going down to Mogo, and we were going to do the process of because it's his dog. This was supposed to be his dog. He wanted a Doberman. We had been researching Dobermans for 2 years. We knew everything about them. We're still learning more. It's an ongoing process. So we had planned to go down to Mogo. And of course, as you know, in January last year, what happened? The bushfires hit. So we got down as far as Nowra, and the accommodation that we were we rang to book, they rang us up when we hit Nowra, and they said, how far away are you? And this is in the afternoon. We told them we were in Nowra and we shouldn't be too much longer. We were staying at Maruya. And they said, don't bother coming because we've just been asked to evacuate to the beach. So they all had to evacuate. We couldn't go any further anyway. There was ash falling from the sky. So we stayed in Nowra. We got across the bridge and found some accommodation, and that's where we stayed for the night. The next day we were thinking, oh gosh, what are we going to find as we drive on down to Mogo? Because, are they going to stop us? Because as we later saw, they stopped people going into these towns and everything. But as we're driving down, we saw all the fireys. We saw all the burnt bush, and it was quite overwhelming in a way to see it. It's one thing to see it on the news. It's another thing to actually be there and see it and smell the smells and see the devastation of the towns as you're driving through. And, you see all the fireys, they've all pulled up. They look so tired. And, they're heading into Macca's while you're getting a coffee, and they look like they've been working all night and everything. So that was a huge thing for us to see on the way down. And it's something that I guess hubby and I will never forget is the fact that we got our dog during this bushfire season. And then once we got down to finally got to Mogo, and driving through Mogo, as you know, they got hit really bad. And Maximus's breeder was just on the other side of town, and all their area was just completely burnt out. And how their house didn't go up in flames, I'll never know. They're surrounded by bush. They've got a little acreage and everything, and they were completely surrounded by bush.
Wow.
And the breeder was telling us that Christmas Eve, they actually had to bundle all the family. They had to put Maxis's dad, Mildred and George, into the car, all the puppies. So there was about 7 or 8 puppies, and Uncle Smudge, who's the chocolate Labrador uncle who also helps out there. So they had them all in the car, and they all had to evacuate down to the beach, and they were all fine. And lucky for them, they got to return home to their house being completely fine. So it was amazing story to hear for Max with his great escape, I guess, in that way. So then we headed in, and we got to be at the house, and we drove up, and all these doggies are running out, and all these cute little puppies are running out towards us, and we've got a Mazda CX-5, so there were puppies under the car. There was puppies running around. Uncle Smudge has got the ball, and Mildred comes out and checks us out, because we're going to be the new mum and dad of Max. And my hubby's there, and he's got these puppies just running all around him, and he's going, I don't know what to do. Anyway, these little puppies are all playing and running around. This one puppy ran up to him, ran between his legs, and starts playing with my husband's shoelaces and shoe and everything. And then eventually all the puppies started leaving. They all started disappearing because I guess it was nap time or something. So they're all going back into the house. But this one puppy stayed between the shoes and was playing with the laces and playing with my hubby. So that was our dog. So that's Maximus. He actually picked hubby and chose him.
That's so often the case.
That puppy was the one who stuck his tongue out in the photos.
Oh, nice.
That's right. So it was just wonderful. Yeah. And then as we drove home, we were behind that, how there was that fundraising program where you could buy a bale for the farmers.
Yes, yep.
We saw all those trucks heading up through Sydney and heading onto the freeway with their buy bale. So that was another great experience with Max. In that, we got to see all these bales and everything, and we'd bought a couple of bales as well, and just everyone's standing on the streets of Sydney just waving. People are tooting their horns at these trucks, and it was just an amazing experience to see it all. But Max just did a little cry as we were leaving his house, so jumping back again, sorry, and I held him all the way home. He did a little cry, and I bundled him up like a little baby and patted him and stroked his little head, and he basically fell asleep on me and only woke up when we did some little stopovers, like my brother, and showed him Max, and we did a few wee stops on the way and made sure he had drinks on the way and everything too. So yeah, so it's quite an experience. It wasn't just a matter of, getting this puppy and then having him come to us. It was a great big event, I guess, if you like,
yes.
With the bushfires and seeing the bales, and great story that, I tell quite a bit when people ask me about him. So, yeah.
For such a introduction into life for a litter of puppies, and then all of a sudden to have that atmosphere of smoke and impending sort of like panic of people around them, and what an introduction.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know whether that then transfers as they're growing up, because we've got a fire pit and he doesn't like to go near it at all. It's not, I don't know whether he's got a fear of it, and, you know, it's come from that early experience, but it's just interesting to watch him around because we've used it numerous times and he still won't go anywhere near it. He will stick to the walls if he comes outside, but most of the time he is away from it. So I don't, you know, it'd be nice if you could read their brains and find out what's going on in their little heads.
So how was the first few weeks of Maximus inside the house?
Well, the first night, as you know, with an 8-week-old puppy is experience. I'd grown up with dogs all of my life. So, you know, a few of those dogs were puppies that we had got. The other ones are all been rescue dogs. It was an experience with him in that, you know, having him go in a crate, we were crate training him from day one, and he spent a little while just crying so much. And it's, you know, it's a devastating sound to hear. You just want to go and scoop him up, but you know you can't, because if you do, you're going to put that training backwards and have to start all over again. So thankfully, he sort of cried himself to sleep. And once we got that crate training down, and it just took one night, he was fine. He was very good. So his breeder had basic toilet training from the very beginning. So we just, you know, added to that. We had to train him how to go in through a doggy door. So that was good. And we've had experience of doing that with previous dogs, and even trained my grandmother's dog to do that, even though he was an old fella. So that was fairly easy for us. We knew what we had to do. It was about the persistence to that. I'll just scoop him up and rescue him and all that. We had to really take a step back and think, okay, through this experience, he is going to learn a lot of it. And, you know, as you know, having a Doberman yourself, they learn very quickly. So it doesn't take very much for them to have an experience and learn from that experience. And, you know, we used lots of positive rewarding and trained him up in just about everything. So we started that training from the very beginning. And we're finding, you know, with the crate, he just loves it. He'll go in there and we'd often just find him asleep in there, and we would leave the door open for him to come and go during the day. And so quite a lot, he would go in there and just go to sleep. Or if, you know, my hubby had to go out the front or something, he would just crawl into that bed and go to sleep, wait for my hubby to come back inside and then come back out again. So, yeah, the first few weeks weren't too bad. We did have to puppy-proof the house. He got into everything. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Things we didn't even remember we had were brought out. And so it was very interesting seeing the sorts of things he gravitated to. And if you didn't get to those things in time, you were in big trouble. So he would even do things like, we've got a room out the back there that I do some sewing in, and he would go out there and find a spot, and he would pee in that spot just because he wanted to, even though he'd just been to the toilet outside. So, you know, he would do things like that. So we ended up having to block that room off in case he kept doing that, because he did it a few times when we didn't even see him go in there. We had to block that room off. So then we had to reach out to a friend who had a fence, and like a puppy fence. And so we ended up, because we had carpet in our lounge room, we had to sort of fence off at the kitchen and at the lounge room entryway, because we were too scared he would come in here and do a wee on the carpet. So that was a real experience, having a puppy in the house and taking him to puppy school and seeing graduate puppy school. We've even got a photo of him with a graduation hat on his head. And of course, he was the big tough guy in the class who would rumble with the other big boys in the puppies. And I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of people out there who are buying Dachshunds. And so there was 3 big boys these little Dachshund puppies and Chihuahuas and things like that. And I thought, oh no, what if Max terrorizes these poor baby Dachshunds? But he didn't. From the very start, he would just lay down on the ground to get to their height and just lick them and be really soft with them. So that was really interesting to see how he reacted to dogs smaller than himself. Basically life revolved around Maximus. He, if we had to plan to go out somewhere, it would be, okay, what are we going to do with Max? Do we take him with us? So he came on a lot of little car trips to people's places and, it was great fun just introducing him to the world, even taking him to the beach for the first time and him having the experience of going to the beach for the first time and seeing it through his eyes was really interesting. We also took him to Bunnings, as most people do. They grab their puppies, they put them in the trolley, and they play celebrity for the day and get, mobbed by staff and customers and things like that. And I even took Max to my work. Now I work at a school, so he got to get smothered by teachers and students and everything. So socialisation-wise, he had a lot of socialisation introductions when he was a pup. So, nice. And I must admit, on the very first day we came home, so we went down on the Thursday to Mogo and came back on the Friday, and we came back probably about 10 minutes before the vets closed, and we thought, you know what, we may as well just go straight up since we're still all in the car. And we took him up to the vets, and of course they were enthralled by the fact they had a baby Doberman they got to watch grow, and so they actually gave him his very first healthcare check, so which they had a lot of fun with. So he's had a lot of integration, as you can see, socialisation and having him in the house and everything. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it and, watched him grow. And I actually took photos of him every week to see the differences in his growth against a pot plant that I have sitting out in the backyard. So, yeah, it's been good.
Ah,
sorry to drone on.
No, not at
Droning
all.
on there.
So I'll just take you back to, say, the first beach experience and how was that for him and the water?
Well, at first he was a bit hesitant because, as you know, waves makes a lot of noise when they crash on the ocean floor there and the sand and everything. But he overcame it. We didn't sort of shelter him and go, oh, poor darling, or anything like that. We were just very much into him getting used to the sound because we love the beach, and I wanted to be able to do beach walks with him as he got older and get him playing at the beach. So for him to hear the crashing of the waves at first was a bit, whoa, what's that? I've never heard that before. But then, he got to see us standing at the edge of the water and having the water run over our feet, and he, sat next to us and learnt that sitting in the water is okay. And while he's, adjusting to it all, we're rewarding him and everything like that and just walking along the beach. And so he had a really good introduction. And the other thing that helped us, my friend has a Cavalier King Charles Cross Foxy. I think I've said it right. And his name is Charlie. And he was the one who showed Max how to be a dog at the beach. So he taught him to run along the beach and, just have fun. So ever since then, Max has loved the beach. He just loves it, and he loves being off leash. Thinks it's fantastic, especially when you can play with a whole lot of other puppy dogs. So he loves it. Yeah. So he loves the beach. It's good because he goes down there now. He had a play date there yesterday afternoon, and this particular one, the dog likes running up around the sand dunes, and he actually climbed up the sand dunes yesterday, and it was quite funny to see him because Max was so excited about going on these sand dunes. He started doing zoomies all around the top of the sand dunes, up and down them and everything. And seeing Dobermans do zoomies is funny because, there's this gigantic dog that's bounding towards you, and then suddenly at the last second they divert so they don't crash into you and zoom past you. And so it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
So having had other dogs and being with a lot of other dogs, I know dogies, they really get tagged with the Velcro dog sort of like label.
Yep.
Do you think that would be appropriate as Max and when he was younger?
Growing up, look, they are Velcro dogs in that they love to be with you. So we had Max on the lounge from the very beginning. We had to teach him what it's like to be on the lounge, how you had to behave and everything. And I had to introduce him to how to cuddle and, how to calm. So I did a lot of holding on to him and stroking him, just like I did when we were driving home. And so he becomes a Velcro dog. If you're sitting on the lounge, he's got to have his butt up against you. But when they're out with other dogs around, like he goes to a dog walking group, they're not so much a Velcro dog unless they're scared, and then they're with you 100%. Mm-hmm. But growing up, they're not as Velcro as you would think. It's more in as they get older. So he's 21 months now. The switch has just flicked in his head that running away from mum and having her chase you up the beach to bring you back is not a good thing. He now, because we've done a lot of recall practice and extended leads and things like that, he's now a lot better. So he's a lot more Velcro with me, but he's always back checking on me and, making sure that we're okay. I would say close to the age of 2, they are more Velcro. But growing up from puppy, they're more focused on the other things with 4 legs, and even now he's not as fascinated by people as he is by dogs. Mm-hmm. So, he likes to be around dogs a lot and loves dogs. But if people go, oh, come here, you cute thing, he will make a beeline straight for the dog instead of the person. So it's quite funny to watch because people just want to pat him, So, I wouldn't say they're more Velcro as puppies. No.
So does he have any favourite doggy friends?
Well, his first buddy he ever really met was Charlie. Now Charlie's getting a bit older. He doesn't tolerate Max very well. Poor old Charlie's not in a good way. He has heart problems now. So he doesn't get to hang out with him as much. So he's more buddies with his friends like Archie, Dolly, who, you've interviewed TJ. There's also Max and a few other dogs that he loves on doggy dates. He just loves hanging out with them. I wouldn't say he's a favourite, but he just loves all dogs that want to be with him. He will love them to death and run around with them and treat them like he's known them forever. So, he's got lots of doggy friends. Doggy dates has been really good for him. He's got to know a lot of doggies and goes on repeat walks with them. So, it's pretty good. He's got a walk tomorrow actually with Alison and her dog Max, who's an Amstaff. So,
Oh, nice. What about toys? Do you have a favourite toy that survived?
Yes, he does actually. His first ever toy was a teapot cozy given to me by Charlie's mum. When we were heading down to Mogo, I realised we'd done all this prep. We got the crate, we got the bedding, we got everything he possibly needed except for maybe a stuffed toy or anything. So my friend gave me her teapot cozy she doesn't use anymore. It's got a dog on it, a dog head. That hasn't lasted the distance, but it lasted a little while he was really small. His favourite toys now that he plays with, he's got a jolly ball, and if you're not familiar with jolly balls, they're what horses play with.
Yes.
So it's a big red ball ball with the handle. So now the handle's been chewed off and the ball's sort of pushed in on one side. He's really happy with that because he can pick it up in his mouth and just run around the house with it. And he also likes us to chuck it. He's got 2 jumbler balls that he loves using, which, you know, in our little conversation before this interview, you heard squeaking away. So he loves it because it squeaks and it's got a ball inside it. And those things seem to last forever. So anyone who's got a dog with a really strong jaw, I can recommend jumbler balls. And he's got one that's a football shape and he's got one that's a round ball shape, and they've got handles on the sides so that if you want to throw it, you can, or if they just want to pick it up, they can. And when they go through that real strong jaw thing and the chewing, the squeaking happens, but their teeth don't seem to break through the ball. So it's been really good for him. But one of the things that I do remember, when Max was small, hubby bought from Aldi a really giant teddy bear, and that giant teddy bear lasted a little while. Max used to lay on it, sleep on it, and sleep, you know, with his head over one arm and things like that. But as time went on, as you know, the teething happens, and the teddy suddenly turned into snow. So.
Yes, I know.
Long either. We've gone through a lot of toys, which you've probably experienced yourself.
Yes, we called Marley a deconstruction engineer. So it was just yes, however it's made, I want to unmake it.
That's it. The other thing he seems to like at the moment too, there's those balls you can get that have got like a scissor-like motion all the way around them, and you can put treats into the sides of them. He likes to just get them in his mouth and squeeze them a lot. And he's also got a chew toy that my mum's dogs didn't like. She's got rescue dogs, and she gave me this toy that's quite good for cleaning their teeth, actually. But he loves chewing it, and he'll actually get it, chew it, and lay next to me, and he'll go to sleep with it. So it's quite soothing and calming for him.
So you mentioned a couple of different walks. You'd think he has a favourite walk, favourite area?
I think his favourite area, if he could talk, would be the beach. He's number one. But his favourite on-leash area, I don't think he really has a favourite. He just knows when he's headed to a walk. He can smell. It's like when he smells it in the air, he starts talking to you and gets really excited about the fact that he's going there. So when we first joined Doggy Dates New South Wales, the Central Coast guys, as we started to head to Chittaway, he suddenly started talking and getting excited as soon as he could smell the lake, and we were down on Lake Edge. He just, you know, he became very vocal. He does the same things as we head towards the beach. Mm-hmm. The second we get up to near North Shelley, he's just going off, you know, and talking to you and making those funny howling sounds and things that Dobermans do. They find quite funny creatures. They're very vocal.
We can very much relate to that. In the car, going near any beach, she's like, "Oh, we must be going to a beach, and you're going to let me off and run, are you? It's going to be great." Yes. It's like, oh, not every beach, no.
Yeah, they just become like excited little children, you know, and they're talking to you and they're going, you know, I'm just so excited, you know, can't wait to get down there. I'm going to do this, and this. So, yeah, it's been very, very interesting. I didn't know that Dobermans were so vocal, and I don't have a problem with it, don't get me wrong. And it's been lovely. You know, it's really, really lovely. And I like having a dog who interacts with you so much and really talks to you, you know, so it's been great.
Oh, it's very nice. So when you've been out and about, have you had any sort of like negative experiences from people that sort of like, oh, hang on, big black dog, oh, Doberman, you know?
Yes. So my first experiences were when he wasn't fully grown, but he was about he was a little bit bigger than what, you know, a puppy. he would go bounding towards people on the beach with no leash on, and you would see the terror on their faces. It was like, if you could imagine, if you've ever watched the movie Cujo, and, that blood curdling feeling of this giant dog coming towards you and about to attack you, that's the look that they get on their faces. So to try and deter that a little bit, I ended up ordering a bandana from an Aussie company, and I put Maximus friendly in big letters on it. So I got them to do that for me, and I have a couple of those, and he never goes to the beach without it on, because he is the biggest softie. He doesn't have a fighting bone in his body as yet, and he's so friendly and so loving. He's just big. He's a little dog inside a big dog, and he forgets he's little. He's big, so he just wants to go and say hello to puppy dogs. So you still get the occasional person, their tiny little chihuahua, or their lots of white fluffy dogs. There seems to be so many white fluffy dogs. My mother-in-law has 2 white fluffy dogs, so you see those owners and they pick up their dogs, and because they're petrified, which is understandable. You would freak out if you saw this giant dog coming towards you, and it's a Doberman. And in the movies, yes, how are Dobermans portrayed? Big, scary dogs who chase after you. They've got vicious teeth, and, you don't want that on your dog. So you pick your dog up and you freak out. So, yeah, of course I have. A lot. Yeah, a lot.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Little do they know.
Little do they know. These guys are friendly giants, honestly. They really are.
But very nice. How's his health been?
Actually, he's got really, really good health. He's very good. We watch what he eats, and we don't overfeed him. We exercise him every day. He goes for a walk. He did 2 big walks last night, and he's felt the repercussions of that. He's had to sleep most of today off, so we didn't do a walk today. The only outing he had was to go and get his nails grinded down, and that was enough for him. He came home and slept, and we actually did the DNA testing. Okay. Because Dobermans can have things like Wobbler's disease. Mm-hmm. They can have heart problems, and all sorts of different things. And I like to know what's coming. Mm-hmm. Basically, when we had our DNA testing done, he got 99% full health. He has, on one of the strands of DNA, he actually has DCM2, we found out. So what that means is we've just got to keep an eye on him. We've, read up on the symptoms. The vets have got a copy of the DNA sequencing and the health check and all of that stuff as well. Mm-hmm. We've just got to keep an eye on him in his older age, because if it switches on, even though it's on one of the links of one of the chains and not on both of them, he's got a 50% chance or something of getting the DCM happening in his body, which is that, the dilated cardiomyopathy, yep. Which just basically means, yep, did I get it right?
You did.
I've got a bit of, working online brain. So it's like I've got mush for brain. But yeah, we've just got to just keep an eye on him as he gets older, because there is a chance he could have heart problems, or it might give out. So, we've pretty much schooled ourselves on what it is and what to look out for and everything. And we know that he needs to have a healthy diet and all that sort of stuff, which we've been doing the whole time. So, yeah, I get him weighed every month or every 2 months just to keep an eye on his weight and make sure that he's good. And he also has a health check, and he has raw bones, which I put in the freezer and keep in the freezer for him from the local butchers. And so, he'll have a bone every so often, which cleans his teeth as well. And he's a pretty healthy boy, actually.
Oh, nice.
Healthy, happy boy.
So you mentioned the diet. I'm going to ask you to complete the sentence. I can't believe my dog ate
horse poo, fresh horse poo.
Horse poo. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We've had that, I think, before.
Yeah. I tell you, it was a shock because, it's gross when it's fresh and it's gross and it smells. The story behind that is Alison and her dog Max, the Amstaff, and myself and Maximus, we are planning a walk up at Avondale College. And so we did this walk around, and it's also a horse track. And so this horse poo, and we did not realize how scrumptious horse poo is, especially if it's fresh. There must be something in horse poo that is really good for dogs, because I tell you what, these two hoed into it every time they found some. They just got stuck in.
Kiss on the face when they come back.
Oh, always. But it's terrible. They just got stuck into it. So look out, anyone who's listening to this that's going to go on the Avondale track. There's delicious fresh horse poo on there. So just prepare yourselves.
So
horse poo. He also eats, sorry.
That's right.
He also eats chook poo. He loves rabbit poo. He loves duck poo. One of the areas that we walk in, there's a lot of ducks, so it's like all you can eat buffet duck poo. Mm-hmm. And he also likes roo poo.
Nice. A real poo connoisseur.
He is, but he doesn't eat dog poo. So thank goodness he does not eat his own dog poo. So that's a huge relief.
Marley's very partial, not eating to duck poo and things like that, but finding it and rolling in it.
Oh.
And it's anyway.
He has tried to roll in stuff like that, but yeah, they're funny creatures, aren't they? They keep us entertained.
Absolutely. So we've gone the gross sort of like area. I'm going to ask you, and you, depending on how you feel like answering it, going down the emotional route of, has there been a time when he's made you cry?
Yes. So because he's a Doberman and he weighs almost 45 kilos, he has a lot of pull strength in him. So when we did puppy preschool, we got sort of the ins and outs of starting to walk them on leads. So we did a bit of training, and as he got older, he started to realise he has strength, and if he pulled you, you could, you get pulled along with him. And so as a result of that, I took him to another training called Canine Basics, where again, I learned some more, and we tried out new harnesses, and I got him new harnesses and all that sort of thing. But get him out in the real world, and it was like, who did training? What's training? I get to pull my mum along, and wherever I go, she goes. So, things are all right. So I tried Halties, and nothing was working. And the clincher was, I was walking him with my friend Sharon, and we were right next to a very busy road, which is the entrance road. And he pulled me so hard, I fell over. Lucky I still had the lead, and I basically had to wave goodbye to Sharon and go back, get in my car, and I got home, and I can't do this. I have this dog who pulls me around. He is just so strong. He's still a puppy. Is this what he's going to be like when he's older? And I felt like I had failed as his owner, as his mum. So I was devastated. So, I had tried everything. I have spent so much money on halties and harnesses, you name it, I've tried it. Check chains, tried that too, did not work. So someone had mentioned on the Doberman site I followed about a different type of collar. At first, I was really scared of this collar because it looks vicious. But what it came down to was this lady who walks a huge, heavyweight German Shepherd. He's healthy. He's just big. And she is this twig of a woman. She's so thin. You would think one puff of smoke and she would disappear with the vapors, And I said to her, you have got such amazing control of your dog and you can just walk your dog. What are you doing? What have you done? Because I can't walk my dog. He pulls me over. He'll, and I had this situation and I told her and all that sort of thing. And she showed me this collar. It's called a pinch collar or a prong collar. And there's so many people who are probably listening to this going, that's terrible. You are punishing your dog. This lady had full control of her dog. Her dog was so happy. It's walking and it's listening to her. And I thought, I haven't tried this. If this doesn't work, then I'm really going to have to either look at rehoming him or sending him back to Mogo, and say to the breeder, look, I just can't do this anymore. He probably just needs acreage. It's just too dangerous for him, especially. I would never want to lose the leash and have him go into traffic or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So that was where I was at. It was terrifying. And I just thought, it's just too scary. So I ended up ordering the collar on the internet. And I found out in Victoria, they're actually banned. Thank heavens we live in New South Wales. And as soon as I put this on him, I also followed the step-by-step. There's a little instructions and everything. There's a guy called American Canine Academy, and he was using them and he explained how to use them. So I learned how to use them. It wasn't like I was going into it blind. Mm-hmm. I learned how to use them because I did not want to hurt my dog. I love him too much. So I learned how to use it. And from day dot, I had a different dog. He's got, he's got puppyhood going through. He rebels, all of that sort of thing. So that's the sort of thing you're battling as a brand new, or puppy owner. You've got to train this dog and get their brain thinking and get them switched on when you want to have that control over them. So, it did take a couple of him, he did his usual pull. And of course you hear the ouch. It came out, didn't it, Max? He's right here listening to me. And, it only took about 1 or 2 walks and I had a completely different dog. I could easily just pop the chain on him, pop the lead on him, off we go for a walk, and all the fear went away. It was like he was switched on. He's like, okay, yep. Now, what do you want me to do? I have to sit now. We're going to wait. And then when we do the crossing of the busy road, we cross it together and I'm listening, and if there was times where there were dogs across the road of this busy road and, and he's there and he's like preoccupied on them, a little tiny tug on the chain. I'm not saying like I'm reefing this chain and, pinching him to death and making these things, get stuck into him. They're not spikes. They're actually just thin metal fingers and they only need the slightest pull and the dog will automatically look at you and go, hey, what do you want me to do? So that is the one time he made me cry. It was, it was pretty devastating to reach that point where you think I've failed this poor animal. So yeah, that was hard.
It's always say there's so many different tools and methods, and sometimes it's just a question of finding the one that works for the individual dog that needs it.
Yeah. And, and it's got a lot to do with the person and their shoes. And I have a really strong feeling for people who do use these collars, and I felt so guilty. I turned up to doggy dates. People, even though people weren't looking at you, you just feel like all eyes are on you. You are this terrible person. You're torturing your dog. I've seen all the comments on people on the Doberman page who have photos of their dogs with these collars on, and they just copped a berating. And so for a while there, I felt really guilty until you reach that point where you go, you know what? Unless you've walked in my shoes, paid the amount of money, and reached that edge where you go, I don't think I can own this dog anymore, and feel that dread that you failed them, you can't make a judgment.
Absolutely.
So, I guess out of this, I would have to say to people, have the conversation with the person first before you make that judgment, because they've been through a lot. They've been through so much. They have a story to tell about why they've reached for this collar that looks so vicious, but it's not actually vicious. It's just a tool. That's all. And if we were torturing our dogs, we wouldn't use it.
No, absolutely.
We absolutely would not use it.
So,
sorry.
No.
Drone on there. I apologise.
Not at all. It's the majority of people that make statements about any sort of tool, they usually come from people that haven't either used a tool or understand its actual purpose. And the other thing is that a tool is a tool, and anything can be misused. It's just unfortunate that, especially with social media, certain things get really pushed and highlighted. And anyway, we won't go down that road.
No, that's a whole new road.
So, what would you say, has Max got any peculiar or individual habits?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? There is so many. Well, basically, I guess one of the things that really stands out for me is he is a dog that has a routine, and he sticks to that routine. So in the morning, he's usually up around the 7 o'clock mark, or he'll, wake up at 6:30. He has to have his wee in the morning. So he goes out, does the wee, comes back in, has to have the breakfast. Then he'll go off and he'll do his poo, and then has his day. And then, of course, at 4 o'clock, he is telling me it's almost dinner time. So by 4:30, he's super hungry and he needs to have that. After he's had his dinner, we have a thing called foot. Now, it's not fruit. We have a futon that is in our bay window, and the sun streams in through that, and he loves that spot. It's his favourite spot. So we tried using the word futon, and it wasn't working for him. It was like, what? So then we brought it down to the word foot. So after he's had his dinner and it's getting close to us having our dinner, because we sort of sit here in the lounge room and have it, he sort of comes up to me and he'll nudge me, and then he'll head out in the kitchen, so I know I have to follow him. And he gets a greenie. Do you know what a greenie is?
Yes.
Those little green chews? Yeah, he has those. So I get my little greenie out, and we do a bit of a practice with words like ready, set, and then we go foot, and sometimes I'll trick him and go, and of course he gets all loud with his voice and likes to tell me off for saying that and not saying the word foot. And then as soon as I say foot, he makes a beeline straight for the futon. And it's there that I've got a little lead, a two-ended lead, so I just clip it onto his collar, and he gets his treat after he looks at me, and he lays down and he just goes off to sleep.
Nice.
He gets off once we've had dinner. So he's a stickler for routine. At 8:30, he has to go to bed. So he does another of the staring, as if to go, I need to go out, and then I need to go to bed because I'm tired. So he's such a funny boy with that. Other little weird things he does. He likes to lick a lot. So he'll lick your legs, he'll lick your arms. He also likes to lick the bald spot on my hubby's head and then grab a toy and play with him. So that's interesting. He has this really annoying habit where if you tell him to drop and he's on the lounge next to you, he has to sit and he has to think about it first before he actually does it. Does Marley do that? Because he's got to think about it. Like, do I really want to lay down, or do I want to go outside, or, do I really want to drop right now? So he does that quite a lot. He farts a lot. He's only young and he's farting a lot, as in noise farts. They're not just quiet little things. They're quite loud. And it's very funny. It's so funny. And it just happens, especially when he's sleeping. It's just, this little kind of sound. It's quite funny. I don't know if Marley does that too, but he's very vocal with his butt as well. The other thing he does, he is obsessed with my socks. He's not interested in hubbies. He's obsessed with mine. So whatever chance he gets, he'll go into my bedroom. He gets his nose into the crack, opens up my little sock drawer, and he will pull out those little socklets that women wear, inside their shoes when they're walking around in summertime. He grabs those and he'll take them outside and chew them up. So He thinks they're like chewing gum. And the other thing, and I don't know, apparently it's a common thing with Dobermans, he likes fluffy fabric and he will suck on it and fall asleep.
Yeah, Marley has a security blanket type thing.
Yeah. It's quite funny, and it calms them so much that they just fall asleep. So he likes to, suck on his blankie or as I said before, he has that little chew toy thing and he will have that next to me and he will chew it and just go off to sleep. It's such a funny thing. I've never had dogs do that before, but I had Max. So yeah, it's quite good. Very interesting.
Yes, very, very much. So I'm going to ask you another emotional question. If I was to put you on the spot and say, when have you felt the happiest with something that Maximus has done?
I think the happiest I am or was with him and still am is when it's sort of only in the last probably in the last month, he now will cuddle up to me. So when he cuddles up, he'll actually turn around so that he's facing the lounge and me, and he will curl up in a tiny little ball and up against me and fall asleep. And he just goes fast asleep. Quite often he'll have his blankie there, so I'll put his blankie over him, especially if it's cold, and he will just go to sleep. And that gets the happy juices going, makes me very happy and content. That would probably be it, I think. Yeah.
That's nice. A beautiful moment.
Yeah. And as I said before, he's supposed to be my husband's dog, but he's not. He's not. He's mine. He's my boy.
Is there anything else that's coming to mind that you'd like to share about Maximus?
Let's have a look. Sorry, that's Max bumping some stuff there. Let's see. He does I feel like I'm giving, I'm handing him over and I'm just letting you know what you got to look out for here. He likes to get his butt and sit on my shoulder with, butt first, so that he likes doing that. He does a lot of running and talking in his sleep. So I don't know if Marley does that as well, but it's you can feel the lounge shaking and moving around. He's not a little dog, so the whole thing's moving the whole time. But yeah, that's about it. I think life with Max has been great, especially in COVID. One of the things that he does, I was right in the middle of a Zoom meeting with my workmates, and I was talking about something, and Max comes up behind my laptop, and he likes to stick his head over the top and rest his head on it. Anyway, I was talking and I'm going, oh yeah, that little chin there that you're seeing, that's Max. He's just there, just letting you know. Next thing you know, snap. He closes the laptop with head, right, mid-sentence, and lays his head on the laptop looking like he's just done something very good.
Yep, meeting finished.
So, yeah, meeting is finished. It's time for a walk. Off we go. So, yeah, he's a bit of a funny fella that way. He likes to be centre of attention.
No, nice.
Yeah.
It has been an absolute pleasure hearing more about Maximus and having a chat with you.
Oh, thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me talk about my most favourite subject in the world.
No, not a problem at all. Now, I know Maximus, he hasn't actually got any of his own social media at this stage.
Yep.
You have mentioned our local dog walking group. Would you like to give them a plug?
Absolutely. Best walking group in the world, I tell you. Doggy Dates New South Wales, one of the reasons why I joined them was walking. I'd drive to work and I'd see all these people walking their dogs and, you know, they're happy and everything. And I thought it'd be nice if I had someone to walk with. And so went in the search on Facebook and went, oh, Doggy Dates New South Wales. You know, they're not a place where they hook dogs up to mate. They're actually a dog walking group. Okay, this could be good. And then I found Central Coast Doggy Dates. And then I met all the wonderful people and, of course, the wonderful TJ who does all this work behind the scenes, you know, and does it just because she loves it, not because she gets paid. She doesn't get any paid for it. It's amazing the amount of work she does. But, yeah, we joined them, and Max absolutely loves Doggy Dates. I love Doggy Dates. We have gotten to know so many people, so many dogs. We've seen people with dogs that are reactive suddenly become unreactive. They're just like, hey, there's my pack. I'm going to join them. Let's walk together. Great to see you guys. You know, so yeah, if you ever get the chance to join Doggy Dates New South Wales and you live on the Central Coast, by all means do Central Coast Doggy Dates. But there are ones around Sydney as well. So by all means, Doggy Dates New South Wales will hook you up with a group that's closest to you. So it's definitely worthwhile.
It is a great organisation. Look forward to, especially when COVID's ending now, to get back out for a couple of walks.
Yes, I can't wait. It'll be so good. All the dogs are missing each other, I hear, so it'll be good.
Thank you again for your time. It's been a wonderful conversation. I look forward to catching up soon.
By all means, thank you, Robert. Give Marley a big hug from Maximus as well.
Most certainly will. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the show. And just like our new listeners in Warrensburg in the US and in Yono in Japan, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to tell a friend just how awesome dogs are and where you can listen to awesome dogs stories. Thank you very much again. Until next week. Stay safe and remember, your dog is family.